Buddy, happy Memorial Day. Welcome to today's morning coffee with Mike. Got some tea this morning in my Spider-Man mug. So, today we're talking about planning and time management. It's some of the keys for part-time trading. I've had some conversations and they've led to a display of why people are feeling stressed. A lot of people are feeling stressed because, well, how do you manage trading part-time? How do you do it all, right? Like there's a lot of things to trade well, to trade professionally that you need to do. You need to read, you need to learn the skills. You're basically building up a part-time job or even a second career for yourself when it comes to trading. Not easy. So how do you manage all this stuff plus the day job, plus the kids if you have them? How do you do all this stuff? It's a lot. Planning and time management are critical. If I didn't figure this part of the game out way back when I was trading part-time, we wouldn't be here. I'd still be struggling. I'd still be at the day job, and you'd be uh, I'd be sitting here watching somebody else talk right alongside with you guys. So I want to talk to you about planning and time management and, well, how to do it and why it's so important. We've already touched on some of the reasons why it's so important, but to further the importance of it, right? It reduces stress, and part of the reason why it reduces stress is because you know exactly where when and where and how things are going to happen in your trading. You're not checking in the middle of the day. You're not uh checking in inappropriate times, right? The ticketitis for P&L starts to float away. Why? Because you've already planned out and blocked out exactly what you're going to do, when you're going to do, how you're going to do it, and why. How can you do this? How can you do this? There's a couple of different ways that they could do it. A couple of great tools that you could use. Very simple tools. A Google Calendar, right? As simple as that is. A simple Google Calendar. Block out time for when you're going to do your trading activities. You could use a day planner. Block that out. It None of this stuff needs to be complicated, but it just needs to be said. Why else would you want to plan and manage your time? Part of it has to do with it increasing clarity and it creating a habit for planning. And you know what? When you create a habit for planning, our habits are things that tend to bleed into other areas. So if you start to plan out how you're going to trade and have that on the calendar and you have this specific block, then, well, what tends to happen is you see how well this is doing and you decide to apply it to something else and apply that to something else. It's one of these great habits, planning, time management, organization, that can help you in other areas of life as well. Planning helps you to track your progress. Planning helps you to track your progress. So, uh, let's say that you block out a time on your calendar. You're going to block out, say, half an hour dedicated to trading every single day. And let's say that you're doing this after hours sometime. If you have that blocked out on your calendar every single day, then you get to see how often you adhere to your schedule or not. Right now, you're starting to introduce a level of accountability. For many of us, that's frightening. For me, that was frightening too. At some point, it still is frightening when I'm trying to take on a brand new habit. A new habit that I've been trying to incorporate is more stretching, more yoga type practices because I've got a half marathon coming up in a couple of weeks and I need to be stretched out and limber for these long ass runs. So incorporating that in, I can see how frequently I'm doing these stretching. Am I doing it every single day, twice a day? No, I tend to slip up sometimes too. But having that level of accountability, having it on the calendar, having times to check in and schedule these sessions helps dramatically because I can see very clearly how closely I'm adhering to my plan or not. The Of course, we all want to be perfect. Of course, we all want to adhere to our schedule 100% of the time. But the reality is that things are going to happen and we're not going to adhere to it 100% of the time. Isn't it better to see, well, how closely are we adhering to the plan? And then having the ability to see, well, I adhered to it 50% of the time, and here are my results. Versus, well, I don't know. It kind of feels like I'm slipping up here, I'm slipping up there. This is part of the planning process. Part of the planning process is actually seeing how closely we adhere to our plans. And if we have that accountability, then we're able to see what our results are. Right? It makes it that much easier to see, are our plans working? Are our plans not working? Are we even following our plans? Often in trading, well, what happens is that you might come up with a plan, and then in the moment you see your P&L fluctuating like crazy. Maybe you turn on to Twitter or somewhere else and you see somebody posting about their gains or posting about another trade, and then all of a sudden your plan flies out the window and now you're looking at something else. Well, if we're if we come up with a habit of planning and time management in one area and we start to see how that works out, then we're building that habit, right? We start out, it's an idea. We start to do it. And it's not a habit yet. A habit takes time to develop, but we're developing this new schedule for ourselves, this new thing that we want to try to follow. And we start to build it over time, and then it becomes routine, then it becomes habit, and we can see how that habit helps us. And then we could start to get away from other areas, right? Other areas where it's trying to knock us off our habit, off of our positive habit, where we have our calendar, we have our blocks of time of when we're going to check in with ourselves, our blocks of time of when we're going to trade, our blocks of time of when we're going to check in with the market, and we can see very clearly how it's affecting our P&L, how it's affecting our performance, how it's affecting our equity curve. All these things we can see very clearly. If we don't plan, if we don't time manage, then well, it's almost like you're walking around in a circle, right? Like you're trapped in the forest and you don't know which way to go, which way is north, south, east, or west. And so you're just wandering around and wandering around and wandering around. And that can happen. You could stay in that for years. You could stay in that for years. How do I know? Because that's where I was stuck for so long. And one of the ways that I was able to get myself out of that loop was with planning, with time management, with starting to block out uh, these times for when I would go and study. And it doesn't need to be, you don't need to necessarily block out time every single day. What you need to do is block out time regularly, whether that time is going to be a weekly time, a monthly time, whatever it is that you're going to be able to do. Of course, the more that you do, the more progress you're going to make. But the important thing is consistency. The important thing is blocking it out for yourself. Hopefully, this makes sense. Let's take a few questions. We're about 10 minutes in here. I'm going to have to hop off early today because I have a coaching call that's starting at 10 a.m. sharp. Someone's asking me to say hi. Ends in hello over here on Instagram. What questions do you guys have? Just scrolling through here, see if we have any questions coming in. CP13 Mustang says, yes, I'm stuck in the loop, not following my plans or deviating from them. All right. So if you find yourself stuck in a loop of not following plans or you're deviating from your plans or uh, part of what you want to figure out is why, because there could be a lot of reasons why you're deviating from the plan. Um, First off, it's great that you are writing plans to begin with, right? Most people don't even do that. So that's worthy of a pat on your back. The next part is to figure out, well, why are you deviating from your plans? Why are they getting tossed? For one area is, do you trust your plan? Right. So when it comes to trading, a lot of people will come up with a plan and then they'll toss the plan. One of the reasons why is because they don't believe in the plan. Some of the reasons why they don't believe in the plan is because they might hear somewhere, well, I come up with a plan. Okay, I like Bitcoin today. I see that it ran up pretty far the last couple of days here. It ran from 26,000 to 28,000. I'm gonna buy it. I'm gonna start buying it, and I'm going to put on however much, and that's my plan. And I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna hold this for a long period of time, right? That and you write that out. That's your plan. Then price starts to move against you. Let's say, right? Price falls 10%. Price falls 20%. Price falls 30%. And then you start to question your plan, right? Well, your plan didn't include a drawdown of 30%, did it? Then you look at some headlines. Since Bitcoin's going down, what do you think the headlines are going to be? Headlines are going to be Bitcoin's trash, right? Just like how when price is moving up, the headlines all tend to be good. When the price is falling, the headlines tend to be bad. That happens quite frequently in the world of crypto. So, what are we going to believe? Well, we need to also understand why we write our plans in the first place. Well, what's our why? Right? One of the things that we need to focus on is, well, what's our why? Why are we interested in this trade in the first place? Write that out. Is it because you just heard that something is good? Did you do research into this? Well, uh, why are we making this plan? That's something that will help us believe in a plan. Here's why I write my trading plans, right? My trading plans are just as simple as what I just outlined, right? Like I've got a trade on for tomorrow, a stock NXT, right? Give you guys a little bit of insider information into what I'm personally looking to trade. So I'm looking to put on this trade in NXT, and I have my entry point, my stop loss, my target set. Well, and it's ready to go. Now, why do I have this plan? Why do I believe in this plan and this idea and this trade? Well, the reason why is because I have a system, I have an edge, and I believe in this edge because I've thoroughly researched it. I've researched it historically. I've read through various books about it. I've studied it for years. I've taken books, courses, seminars, all these things. I've done my own research, gone back in time and studied thousands of charts through the years. I have the real world experience of putting trades like this on and seeing them work and seeing them and how it works. I have zero expectations for if this trade is actually going to trigger, if it does trigger, if it's going to be a winner, or if it's going to be a loser. What I believe in is that the system works because I've seen it work and I know the odds. I know the return, I know the reward to risk ratio, and I know the probabilities of the system. So all that is baked into the plan. But if we just come in and we start to just say, well, I'm going to put my money into this and hope for the best, well, that's not much of a plan. That's where, yeah, a stiff breeze comes by and your plan flies out the window. So, do we believe in the plan? Another part of it could be, do we believe in ourselves? Do we believe in ourselves as executioners? Right? Um, that's a subtler problem. Had that problem too. One of the things that we need to do is to dig into our beliefs about ourselves. We don't have much time to dig into it here, but one exercise that you could start to do is to write down as many beliefs as you can about yourself. Well, what does that mean? That you could, well, ask yourself, well, what do you believe about yourself? You might say, I believe I'm a good person. I believe I'm smart. I believe that I can achieve whatever I put my mind to, right? Some positive beliefs that just comes to the top of my head, but I didn't always have beliefs like that. I used to have beliefs that said that I'm not worthy of love. Right? If you went back and if you've read my book, you know about my backstory, how my parents were divorced, how I was a homeless kid at 6 years old, how I felt abandoned for a very long time. And so beliefs like that from an early childhood, if we don't go back and dig into our past, can just be running on autopilot without us even thinking about it. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to think about what our self beliefs are and to do an exercise where we're actually taking pen and paper and writing them out. Bottom line is that there could be a variety of reasons why it's difficult to follow trading plans. Those are a few. All right, and it looks like that'll be it for today. So hopefully this little tidbit helped you out. I will see you back here again tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Tomorrow, what are we talking about tomorrow? Tomorrow we're talking about health and wellness. That's very important for traders too. And tomorrow we'll get into why. Till then, enjoy your Memorial Day, and I'll see you then. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.